I feel safer in the white man's system because there was no safety net for black women.
Wake your punk ass up. Warrior class, zoo, stand up. Warrior class, zoo, rise up. Warrior class, zoo, speak up. Warrior class, zoo, show up. Warrior class, zoo, smoke them out.
Let's be honest, Summer. You want a black guy.
Do you know what? I got this feeling if I go for a black guy, I'm going to be a single mum. And I'm going to suffer in life.
Listen, Summer, yeah. Do you know all you have to do? This is what all black chicks need to do. Just pick wisely. That's it.
You guys keep saying that, but that's the thing. Like, black men, whether he's educated or not, because I've seen girls who dated educated men, and they still ended up single mom.
Bruh, no, it don't go like that. I'm sure them girls that you're talking about, there was red flags that they just ignored, or actually red flags that they found attractive. Because I will admit, I will say that, yeah, just because a guy is educated or has a good career doesn't mean that he's gonna be a good guy. That does not mean that. But it's the content of a man's character and his moral compass. It's not how far he went in education. See, this is how you girls always get it mixed up, and then the next thing you start saying all black men cheat.
Well,
it's still your same bad. It's still your same bad choices.
No. You keep blaming women, you know, because every woman you keep saying, oh, because you're a bad choice. So
yes, because women choose the guy. The only reason why I say that, yeah, is because the women choose women really choose who gets dated and who doesn't get dated. All men do, yeah, whether you're good. Listen. All men do, whether black or white, what we do. Because most of us are not drop dead gorgeous, right? So we don't just have women coming up to us throwing their vagina at us. Most of us guys have to go out there hunting, right? You have to hunt. And most of the time, the girls that you really like usually don't like you. Usually, you just cast your net out there and just see who bites and and you reel in the best one that bites out of the bunch. That's what usually happens. You get what I'm saying? For women, for you women, is different. You have all different guys coming to approach you all the time, every single day of your life, bro.
Majority of black men today are raised by a single mom. I don't think they even know, like, the value of a husband. Like, I don't think they know how to run a family. And you guys are talking about leadership and taking over the world.
Do you know what? The funny thing is, I kind of agree with you. This is one of the weirdest times in history that I kind of agree with you. Yeah. But at the same time, girls are raised in these homes as well, and they don't know the value of having a good man. That's why a lot of girls prefer to go and date drug dealers and criminals, because they don't realize that they've never seen like a good legitimate man. And you definitely don't see it on TV, you definitely don't see it in music videos. So it goes both ways.
It doesn't, because I think even girls, it's not just the boys that need the father, it's the girls as well.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I just said.
I would have never known what a good man is if I didn't have my dad by my side.
Yeah, and I'm
agreeing
with you.
How am I supposed to know what a good man is if I wasn't even raised by one?
That's what I just said. It goes both ways, Summer. That's what I just said.
Right, so I think it's wrong for you to just blame the girls, like to say, "Oh, go find a good man."
No, but I don't just blame the girl, bruv. My whole thing about on my channel is about power, black men getting power, bruv. And I tell black men, don't go and shoot up the club and don't make baby mamas. I say that stuff all the time. What are you talking about?
No, I'm not denying you say that, but I'm just sticking up for the girls here. So I just think it's quite sad that men are putting the blame, all the responsibility on the women's shoulder by saying, go choose a good man. But I would have never known what a good man is if my dad wasn't there, because he told me the games guys play. He
Yeah,
told
but
me
okay,
fighting
okay,
to
okay,
bring
okay.
me.
I hear that, but bro, like at the same time, yeah, as a woman, you have choice, bruv. Like how? Okay, think about this, Summer. In the last week, how many guys approached you? Be honest.
Every day I get approached.
Huh?
Every day, almost every day I get.
Every day. And there's some guys that you look at. You may not want to date any of them, yeah. But there's some guys that as soon as they come up to you, you disqualify them instantly. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because you've got choice, you've got discernment, you've got standards. Like you're an adult, you've got a fully developed brain. You can look at something and analyze it and be like, you know what, this is not for me, or this is not a good look. This is not gonna work long term. Like you actually have the ability to make these decisions. What you want to do is completely just like take accountability away from the women, bruv. My thing is over here is both the men and the women, bruv. But you have to say it's the women mostly, because women are the ones who have all these options and they make the final say on who gets dated. Now the men, they have the say on who gets the commitment. That's what I'm saying. So like, and look, and another thing is, yeah, a lot of us, we come from single parent families. A lot of these girls come from single parent families. Why would you want to repeat the cycle when you come from that?
But that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if I go for a black man, I would definitely be part of that statistics, and I don't want that.
It's not definitely, because you even though yeah, there's a lot of single mothers out there. There are guys who are with their women and having families. I personally know more than a few. Yeah, but the thing is, they don't show that. See, you're going off of the statistic, and you know what a lot of people put out there, a lot of information people put out there, but they never put the positive information out there either. They never do.
Yeah, but a lot of men talk a good game. Oh yeah, baby, I'll take care of. Do you know how many Dusties literally tried to play that game on me?
Dusties. Did you fall for it?
Sorry?
Did you fall for it?
No, I just go along like an idiot, and then I'll just block their ass. Like,
do you know that white men make single mothers as well?
I'm not saying they don't, but then at the end of the day, the white man has created a system to help single mothers, and I feel like some of these black men are against that system, because you see a lot of them saying, "Oh yeah, they kick the black man out of the house." And
you're going off of what a lot of African American men say. Yeah, number one. Number two, the reason why they say that, because it kind of gives a lot of women the cushion that, if I throw my box around and become a single mother recklessly, then it's okay because I'm going to be taken care of. In underdeveloped, in like third world countries, women know they can't just go around becoming single mothers, because if they do that, they're gonna be in a life of extreme poverty, but that's why they really value the men. That's why men, when they go to these like South America and that, a lot of men are women and get put on a pedestal because the value of men is higher there. In the West, a woman doesn't need to stay with a woman doesn't need to stay with a guy. A woman can just get with a guy, get pregnant, have a kid, boom, she gets a little apartment, flat or whatever, she gets money every month. That's it. On to the next one. Do you think that's a good system?
$150 a child, I think.
But do you think that's a good system?
No, but could you imagine a system where she had to go to work and then leave the kids to, I don't know, a neighbor?
No, because if the system wasn't there like that, she would know not to become a single mother. That wouldn't even be an option.
In the 1920s, 100 years ago, women were having 7, 8, 9 children, and they still had to go out and work. There's this book, right, that I wanted to bring up.
Oh my days, bruv, you wasn't there, bruv. You wasn't there to talk about the 1920s, bruv. You could read books, but you don't have the statistics. You could read a book, but you don't have the statistics. At the end of the day, back in the days, listen. Back in the days, people knew that, if a man gets with a woman and they have kids, it's probably best for them to stick together, bruv. People knew that. That was more prevalent back in the day than it is today. Today, everyone's very individualistic. So I don't know why you're bringing up back in the day, because their whole mentality
No,
to
but
family
you're
was different.
you're saying the reason. No, you're saying the reason women are having babies is because they know they can fall back on a system.
No, it's not
that
just
will
because
help
of that.
them.
It's
That's
not just
the
because.
case.
No, that's not. That I don't think that's the main reason. But I think that's a subconscious safety net. That's what I think that is. Like, if you know that, okay, even if I mess up, you know, the government is gonna still look after me, you kind of feel a little bit more free. If you know there's no safety, if you know, listen to me. If you know there is absolutely no safety net, that's like you're at the circus, you're walking the tightrope, and you know there's absolutely no safety net at the bottom. You might not take that step on the tightrope. You're gonna be more reluctant to take the step out there, bruv. Now, some people still will walk the tightrope, but the majority probably won't. That's what I'm saying.
Well, this is where my initial argument came, that I feel safer in the white man's system because there was no safety net for black women. I feel safer in the white man's system because there was no safety net for black women. I feel safer in the white man's system because there was no safety net for black women before his system.
But you shouldn't need a safety net if you're logical and make good choices. This is what I'm saying. The safety net is for the stupid people that walk out there, bro.
Black fathers, black brothers, black uncles, black grandparents, black grandfathers rather. You need to understand that your black mothers, your black daughters, your black nieces, your black grandmothers, your black females in your immediate or somewhat not so immediate, you know, your cousins or whatever, this is how they secretly feel. You cannot ever do the argument, some, not all. The point is that there's too many. You're asking the question, how come we keep going through this? You're asking the question, when is this going to end? It will never end. Not until you understand what you're up against. You're not solely up against racism, white supremacy, WSR. You are also up against your women. Your women do feel like welfare, do feel like government assistance, do feel like public assistance. They do feel like the white man has provided them a better system. A better system as opposed to what? What other system could they compare it against? They can only compare it against the system that you had, which was the system of African patriarchy, or the system of African matriarchy. It allows them, in a nutshell, to do what they want to do. And if they do not want to be with a man for 40 years or for 50 years, a system has been provided to protect them at all costs. And what you are asking these women, these females, to do is to look at the facts, look at the data, look at the history, look at in order for them to be able to make a better decision. Even though this system, the white man system, is a better system, it is only contingent upon your death. So that means they are fully aware that you are the one that is paying the ultimate price. They can get up here and they can holler, they can talk about stats, they can talk about statistics, they can talk about movie reviews, they can talk about whatever it is that they want to talk about in order to hide. The goal is you have to allow everybody to speak, no censorship. You have to allow them to speak in order for you to get to the root of the cause. And the root of the cause is your women, your black mothers, your black grandmothers, your black daughters, your black women really feel as though white men have provided them a better system. I'm telling you, and I've always been telling you, black women rebel against black men for two reasons. One is sex, and then two, the new term is hypergamy, but realistically, it's her ability to flirt. What she wants the ability to do with her body is level up. She knows it's going to be easier for her to level up via her body. It is way easier to level up via your body than it is to level up via based on her skill, whether she wants to be a welder, whether she wants to be a plumber, whether she wants to be any of those things, it is far better for her to level up based on her body. And flirting and hypergamy allows her to show the possible replacement, your replacement, that I'm willing to do this and I'm capable of doing this if you bring this to the table. So if you bring this to the table, if you show me that you're more secure, if you show me you have more money, if you show me you're more relaxing, if you show me you're more chill, if you show me you ain't coming with all the rules, if you show me that living with you would be better than living with him, then I'll give you what I'm giving him and I'll make you top priority. That's hypergamy, that's sex, that's hoism, that's Jezebel, that's all of that. It's for her to use her ability, her natural given ability, in order to get the best case scenario. Problem that you're having is you didn't do what the other nations did when it was your turn to do what the other nations did. When it was your turn to do what the other nations did, you worship black women. They do not. So they don't mind giving black women what they want. I keep explaining to you, it's just like a pimp. They don't mind allowing the black woman to do what the black woman wants to do. Why? Because that is how they get access to you. When we see those other men coming, we tighten up, we close our ranks, we get on defense. We don't want to see, we don't want to hear the bullshit. We don't want to smell the bullshit. We don't want to look at the bullshit. And we don't even want to get that goosebump feeling that somebody's coming with, here comes the bullshit. We don't want no part of it. So when they come in our vicinity or our area of operation, what we do is we're on guard. So it's more difficult for them to try to invade us through us. They, for the most part, are very, very successful at invading us via our women. It is our women that give them access to us. It is not us that give them access to us. It is our women that gives them access to us. And since we worship our women, we don't chastise and we don't punish our women accordingly. Now, since you're 8,000 years later, you're at a point where you're either going to have to do what you were supposed to do 8,000 years ago. And that's two things. You're going to have to eliminate this female because she is that detrimental and she doesn't care if the nation becomes enslaved. She doesn't. She's worried about saving herself. She doesn't care that her daughter is going to be molested. She'll drop a tear, but if she can survive, she'll water under the bridge that real quick. She doesn't care that her son is about to be molested by another male. She'll shed a tear, but she'll water under the bridge that real quick. When it comes to her individual self, she will do everything to save herself. Men care about what happens to the generation, to the nation, but the female doesn't. And I want to make this clear. You can never ever do an every, and you can never ever do an all, because there are both genders that have the ability to be just as weak. Only thing I'm trying to demonstrate and explain quantitatively is the breach generally happens via more women. The breach will happen because of both male and female. History has shown you that. But history has also shown you, when you put a number to it, there are more women causing the breach, the hemorrhage, the infiltration than there are men. Women are a large part of this. You can control the men if you can control the women. But why? And I don't normally speak that because men are weak. Women raise weaker men. So if women raise weaker men, for 8,000 years, women have raised men to be weak. Same thing I'm gonna keep explaining in a litter. When you're having a litter, when a puppy has a litter, when a rabbit has a litter, when a fox has a litter, when lions have a litter, cubs, you already know there's gonna be one more dominant male, one more dominant pup than there's gonna be. If it's a litter of 12 or a litter of 6, there's only one that's more aggressive, one that's more assertive, one that's more, less temperamental. There's only one. Every other one after that is born with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but they're not as strong as the alpha of that litter. Now, in some occasions, you're gonna even have that runt that ends up being the most dominant, the most strongest, so it's not necessarily the firstborn. It could be the lastborn. The point I'm saying is genetically, you will only have one that is the most dominant, the most aggressive. So if you're looking at the math, the most dominant and the most aggressive in a litter of either 6 or 12, multiply that by human lived experience. In a family, you're going to have one. If you got a family of 6 or a family of 7, a family of 8, 20, my grandma had 21 kids. All of them ain't equally strong. They're stronger in certain areas equally, but they're not mentally equal. So what eventually happens is most of those kids are going to be weak, where 1, 2, or maybe 3 will be the strong leaders of a family of 21, of children of 21. But if that number gets smaller, then by default the number gets smaller. So if you're not having 21 kids and you only have 5 kids, 1 out of those 5 is going to be strong, the alpha. Everyone else is going to be weak. They're going to have issues. Therefore, they're not going to contest. Multiply that by household. Multiply that by generations. Multiply that by decades. It's going to be a lot more weaker-minded people than are going to be stronger-minded people. And if the female raises the female and the male to be weaker, then that multiplies the weaker population. The female doesn't raise her offspring to be strong. She raises her offspring to be weaker. So if they're coming out genetically weaker, she's going to multiply it to be weaker. If they're coming out genetically alpha, genetically dominant, genetically strong, she's going to raise that strength, that stronger male or female, to be weaker. So what that means, what that translates to is, even if that individual is strong, more dominant, as long as that individual is in that female circumference, as long as that individual, male or female, is in that woman's custody, then while that child is in that woman's custody, she is engineering and making them weak. It will be after that individual child, male or female, leaves that woman's custody where that child or male can step into his dominance. It'll be about a 15 to a 20-year gap before that male realizes his mama was making him weak. It'll be about a 15 to a 20-year gap before that female realizes her mother was the one making things worse, making matters worse. So even if they do have the genetic ability to be strong, as long as they're with their mother, she's going to make them weak. That's male and female. The difference is if you are genetically weaker and you are still with your mom, even when you're away from your mom, you will exhibit the same behavior. Because one, she reinforced your genetic deficiency. If you are stronger genetically, once you are away from your mother, you will eventually re-exhibit or lean towards other men or other women who are a little bit more aligned your cut of cloth, and you will grow into your dominance, but only if you are away from your mother. That's a lot of words. That's a lot of time. So when you hear small little cues, small little hints that the white man's system is better than the black man's system because there was no system that protected the black woman, there was, but the female destroyed it. The female destroyed it for the exact same reason that the female is destroying it now. Sex and access to her body, meaning she wants to use her body the way that she wants to use her body. She doesn't want the male having unmitigated sex with her at all hours of the night. She doesn't want her body to put her in a position of poverty. She wants her body to give her a position of wealth, a position of an easier way of living. So if you are the guy that starts out with the potential to give her these things, she will allow you to have unrelented access to her body. But the moment she feels as though she's made a bad choice, she is going to say, I should have chose him. And she's going to go out here flirting. She's going to go out here fishing. She's going to go out here baiting. She's going to go out here hypergamous and try to land a bigger fish. The breakdown comes in is as she is going out there, or as she's with you, you probably put a baby in her, which makes her hypergamy more difficult because most men don't want to take care of another man's child. But she already understands she can do better. She'll do it anyway because there are men that will. It just means that she has to play the game a different way. Not that it's impossible, she just has to play the game a different way. But notice, when these women get these offsprings and they end up having stepdads, notice how these females do not encourage their own biological children who've also had stepdads, encourage them to be stepdads to somebody else's child. Notice how the game works. But family, I just wanted to drop a few of these notes with you guys, and I'm trying to get you guys to look at or to understand or to possibly see. Remember, I'm just giving you my point of view of how I see the world. It doesn't mean that I'm 100% right and exact. It just means I'm giving you my point of view of how I see the world, and I go out and I get evidence and I get facts and I get data to support my way of thinking. If you want to fix this thing that we are having, you're going to have to paper up. The males are going to have to support and defend and protect other males. You've never had a system in African history where you protected black men at all costs. You've never had that system. And it is about that time that you develop that system, because the women are telling you they will not abandon WSR for you. They're not going to abandon WSR for you. They will sell drugs for you. They will put poison in their vagina for you. They will do whatever they got to do for you as long as it's not fighting WSR. We need to be fighting WSR. Any other path that we choose is a path of escapism. Choosing Christianity or religion over fighting directly WSR is a form of escapism. Choosing science to fight WSR directly is a form of escapism. Choosing sports, choosing the military, choosing welding, choosing plumbing, choosing anything to fight WSR indirectly is a form of escapism, and that's why it's so successful. So I want to drop for you guys our victories. The people that speak like I speak, the people that talk like I talk, the people that act like I act, the people that live like I live, we have more victories in this 1 year than you guys who chose not to fight white supremacy, racism directly have in about 100 years. So for all those that don't understand what I mean by victory, I'm gonna name a few because I'm not gonna go down a list and give you all. I'm gonna name a few. I am one of those people that tell you when you're faced with an obstacle, you must face that obstacle head on. Do the best you can. And even if you're not successful on day one, I am also under the mindset that you must continue to deal with. You must continue to deal with that obstacle until that obstacle is no longer an obstacle. You can either tear it down or you can build a structure or an apparatus to get over it or around it. But you must always deal with it. I am under the mindset that you must prepare to fight that elephant in the room. Every day, you must be discussing the elephant in the room and how to defeat the elephant in the room, or how to control or get that elephant out of the room. Every day, the conversations need to be the same. The conversation needs to be the same. The results need to be different, or the talking points need to be different so that we can come up with solutions. So when I say I'm under the mindset that we need to face this. We need to stop what we're doing. We need to stop BSing. We need to stop clowning. We need to stop playing, and we need to focus our attention on this. I am under that mindset. Many of you are not. Many of you are, no, I'll worry about that later. Many of you are, well, why do we got to do it the way you want us to do it? Many of you are cowards. So you will come up with the way that seems like and sounds like you want to address it, but at the end of a year, at the end of 20 years, at the end of 50 years, you haven't made no progress. Let me show you why you must deal with those obstacles that are in front of you immediately and consistent. Many of you believe that protesting and riots don't work. Many of you believe that's a waste of time. Well, I'm under the different opinion that it does work. I gave you all the analogy that it's like a bully on the playground. Bullies don't stop bullying just because you want to be nice and you think, will you please stop bullying me because I'm really a nice guy. I'm really not. I ain't gonna do you. I'll give you lunch money every day. Bullies don't stop bullying just cause. Something or someone has to make that bully stop bullying. Well, in that analogy, in that example, let me give you the real life study. I ain't gonna read the whole thing for you, but this comes as an article. Protests reduce police killings, new research shows. Author or report, Susan Olzak, December 20th, 2021. Protests reduce police killings, new research shows. And it basically says, Black Lives Matter activist holds a sign against police brutality in front of Ohio State House in reaction to the shooting of Mayaka Bryant on April 20th, 2021 in Columbus, Ohio. Columbus police shot and killed Mayaka Bryant, 16 years of age, on April 20th, 2021, sparking outrage from the community. When we the people, I'm no longer reading the paperwork, I'm speaking from self. When we the people told you that you guys need to get out of here and turn up, tear it down, bring it to a halt, you all said, my kind said otherwise. Now I'm going to read the article again, so I'm going back to the paperwork. The results were clear, at least where the issue was local. My study of America's 170 largest cities between 2000 and 2019 found that street protests were followed by declines in officer-involved fatalities of Black and Latino individuals, though not for whites. In fact, the empirical analysis indicates that one protest in a given city would reduce Black fatalities by 11% and Latino fatalities by 7% in the following year. What am I reading to you even though I'm reading it to you? That means if you want these people to stop mistreating you, you're going to have to physically do something about it. Nowhere in this article, nowhere in research, nowhere in history does anybody say if you want somebody to stop physically messing with you, you pray about it. Nowhere, no fact, you can't find no report, you can't find no statistic, you can't even find an old song or old hymn or grandmom's last dying wish or grandpa's I wish I would tombstone where somebody's prayed for someone to stop mistreating them and then they stop mistreating them. You can't find nowhere in documented human existence where somebody came up with some science concoction and stopped the people from mistreating them. They stopped people from mistreating them from simply, physically, earthly, humanly fighting back. That's a victory for the people who think like I think. Another one, ladies and gentlemen. This is a long read on this one. So I'm going to read it though because it's important. So just bear with me, deal with it. That's how we learn. This is Walmart versus whiteness. The program begins, let me get to the title. I got the highlighted portion and I was going to read you the highlighted portion, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read you the title. Walmart Incorporated has launched a critical race theory training program that denounces the United States as a white supremacy system and teaches white hourly wage employees that they are guilty of white supremacy thinking and internalizing racial superiority. It says nothing about Christianity. It says nothing about Moorish Simple Science Temple of North America. It says nothing about the Iron Robot Elijah Muhammad and Allah. It says white supremacy thinking and internalized racial superiority. The program begins with the claim that the United States is a white supremacy system designed by white Europeans for the purpose of assigning and maintaining white skin access to power and privilege. American history is presented as a long sequence of oppressions from the constitution of a white race by colonists in 1680 to President Obama's stimulus legislation in 2009. Another race-neutral act that has disproportionately benefited white people. Consequently, the Walmart program argues white Americans have been subject to racist conditions that indoctrinates them into white supremacy, or the view that white people and the ideas, thoughts, beliefs, and actions of white people are superior to people of color and ideas, thoughts, beliefs, and actions, and their ideas, thoughts, beliefs, and actions. It's a long read. Stay tuned. Following the principles that diagnose determines that the Walmart program seeks to create a psychological profile of whiteness that can then be treated through white anti-racist development. Whites, according to trainers, are inherently guilty of white privilege and internalized racial superiority. The belief that one's comfort, wealth, privilege, and success has been earned by merits and hard work rather than through the benefits of systematic racism. Walmart's programs argue that Walmart's program argues that oppressive white supremacy culture can be summarized in a list of qualities including individualism, objectivity, paternalism, defensiveness, power hoarding, right to comfort, and worship of the written word, which all promote white supremacy thinking and are damaging to both people of color and to white people. The training program recommends that discussions about racist conditions should be conducted in racially segregated affinity groups because people of color and white people have their own work to do in understanding and addressing racism. Walmart employees who are racial minorities in the framework of the training program suffer from constructed racist opposition and internalized racial inferiority. Their internal psychology is considered shattered and broken, dominated by internal messages such as, we believe there is something wrong with being a person of color, we have lowered self-esteem, we have lowered expectations, we have very limited choices, and we have a sense of limited possibility. Minorities thus began to believe the myths promoted by racist system, developing feelings of self-hate, anger, rage, and ethocentrism, and are forced to forget. Let me read that again for clarification. Minorities thus began to believe the myths promoted by the racial system, develop feelings of self-hate, anger, rage, and ethocentrism, and are forced to forget, lie, and stop feeling in order to secure basic survival. I told you it was a long read. Yes, I'm trying to condense it, and yes, I will condense it. But you can find the article Walmart versus Whiteness. Look it up on a computer. I do have the website address. I ain't gonna do all that. I'm just give you the title: Walmart versus whiteness. That is a victory because now a corporate American company is acknowledging in their own circles that they are adhering to white racist concepts, white racist ideology, white racist superiority, and which it forces minorities to believe the myths promoted by this racial system, and they end up developing feelings of self-hate, anger, rage, and ethosism, and are forced to forget, which many of y'all have done and want to do, lie, which you're going to always do because that's your coward nature, and stop feeling in order to secure basic survival. So my kind says, this is how we're being treated. My kind says, this is how they're winning. My kind says, this is what we're supposed to do when people mistreat us. You don't forget about it. You don't pray about it. You don't ask that it's going to go away. You don't pray that somebody's going to crack that sky and make it go away. My kind says, get your asses up out of that goddamn couch, get out of that car, and put in the necessary work. Put the foot on the gas and put your foot on their necks until they treat, if not you better, then until they treat your children better. Another victory for the naysayers who disagree with my approach. Black woman wins $20 million lawsuit against insurance company for racial discrimination. I can go on and on with the victories. I'm explaining to you my kind. That's the men and the women, because it is not just men out here trying to get this thing started. It is both male and both female that are out here, and we are putting in this work in order to make this world a better world. We are not simply saying pray about it. We are not talking about sit up here and get every goddamn vaccine shot and booster shot that they talk about, even though they're constantly running game on you. You're going to take the shot so you can keep your job. Then they close the job, or they relocate the job, or they turn around and make the job go viral. So now you don't need to enter the building, but you entered the building big. You took the shot based on entering the building. Now there's no building for you to enter into, yet you got the shot. The cases go on and on and on. You were supposed to fight. This is what the Most High, all powerful, is showing you. Do you pray? You will never ever hear me say do not pray. You will always hear me say put it in context. You are supposed to pray, but prayer is basically an axe. So you could be riding along in my automobile. You could be driving down the street and be like, man, I hope I don't miss that. I hope I don't catch that light. That's a prayer. Man, I'm riding down the street, man, I hope I'm not late. That's a prayer. Man, what do you think is gonna happen if I come in late? That's an acquisitive prayer. But that's all a prayer really is. You're speaking thoughts to yourself. You're speaking thoughts to the better part of you. The problem with you all, the coward class, is you believe that prayer is all you need. And I'm telling you, in a real world of physical touch and feel, reality, prayer alone is not enough. It's like 10%. What is the absolute most is getting out there, making that bully stop. And it must mean so much to you to where you're willing to die about it. If your freedom, if you don't want to stop that bully from bullying you, then you really need to shut up and don't say pray about it. You need to shut up and don't say go meditate about it. You need to shut up and don't go say, well, I'm going to go be I'm going to go work for UNICEF. Shut up. You need to focus on getting that bully out of the playground. You need to focus, fire a gun. You need to focus, and you need to get that elephant out of that room. Because until we can accomplish getting that elephant and all of it, that elephant's tools out of the room, we're really not going to go anywhere. Yes, we're making progress, but rest assured, none of my words are words of discouragement. I told you I didn't like Christians. I told you I don't like Christians because I understand they're going to pray about it. They ain't going to do no physical work. They can't. They're afraid. They're too afraid to do the physical work. I told you I don't like the scholars. because scholars spend too much time reading and thinking. They're not going to do the physical work. The physical work is going to always be left on the foot soldiers, those that don't have all that time to read and study, those that want to solve the problem and they don't care how the problem is solved as long as it stops, and they're willing to burn this mother down. We're going to burn this mother down, and then we'll worry about the consequences later. The problem with those people groups, which is I'm part of that people group, is you can't just burn it down. So I'll end up reading because I want to find the best way to dismantle this system. So, and I told you I don't like your Queen Mother Goddess. I don't like your Queen Mother Goddess people because those are weaker males. They're looking for the women to do all the heavy lifting. And if you're looking for the women to do the heavy lifting, and then you turn around and hear a woman says, I believe that the white man system is a better system, then you explain to me how and when and where do you expect for her to do the heavy lifting as it's pertaining to the dismantlement of WSR in order to save more black male lives. They know black male lives are being sacrificed. They know young women's lives are being sacrificed. They know, but by nature, they're selfish. So when push comes to shove, they're going to say I was molested. When push comes to shove, they're going to say I was raped. When push comes to shove, they're going to say I was in an abusive relationship. When push comes to shove, they're going to say it wasn't my fault. And when it's on Judgment Day, the judge is going to know that that person is lying. But the judge is going to ask the defendant, well, if you was abused, if you were molested, if you was raped, if you was this and you was that, who was the person that was doing it to you? And in that language right there, between the judge and the defendant, the plaintiff, she's going to point right over there to the plaintiff. And she's going to cry a cry that nobody's going to, my mama cried again. And they're going to get him. And she's going to point right over there at the plaintiff. And everybody going to look at the plaintiff. Sir, is that true? And as soon as the plaintiff go, Your Honor, guilty. Honor, you ain't letting me talk. Guilty. Get him out of here. One more outburst out of you, sir. Boy, I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. And they will not allow that man to speak. That female will go right in the court chambers. She's going to get the house. She's going to get the car. And she's going to cry some more. And she's going to say a whole bunch of nothing. But at the end of the day, at the 12 o'clock at night, she's going to say, I really wish I wouldn't have done that. But she's going to say, better him than me. And then she's going to look for a new John. And what I'm saying is, since I understand that's her behavior, she cannot be on that level. You black men, you coward behind people. I don't care. I want to be careful because I'm not trying to shoot insults. Again, my words are words of encouragement. But even if I'm calling you a coward, I'm calling you a coward so you can identify the traits. Identify the talking points and identify the traits that lie within your basic definition of a coward, and see if that definition, see if you fit anywhere in that definition. And I'm not talking whether or not if you're a coward because you don't want to kill a spider. I'm not talking about if you're a coward or not because you don't want to get hit by a bee. I'm speaking specifically on whether or not if you fit those character traits when it comes to WSR. If you fit these character traits when it comes to WSR, then yeah, I'm talking about you. So fix it. I just gave you a couple of victories. I just gave you the Walmart victory. I just gave you the protest victory. I've already given you the COVID-19, the C. I've already given you so many other proofs that my kind, when we talk that talk that we talk, we're very victorious. So you really, the evidence is here. The evidence, the facts, the data, the court cases, the FBI. There's another one in here. Florida police officer revealed as member of KKK, where they got an FBI, they got a white guy, ex-military guy. He goes up, he goes into the police department down in Florida to investigate, simply to see if it is what my kind says it is. When it goes down there and investigate if it is what my kind says it is, they end up finding out that my kind talks the truth. So White supremacy. So WSR racism is everywhere, and it's in everything, and it's interfering with the judicial system in order for it to execute justice. These are race soldiers implanted in every legal system. So when you guys are constantly running away from it and say, I don't want to deal with it, you guys are the reason why the system is so effective, because you're not fighting back. You refuse to fight back, and you can't wait until you're dead so you can say, I didn't have to fight back. My kind, we're the kind that push back. And when we push back, no, your kind don't like it, because we do make matters worse, but we're making matters better. We're making matters better more than we're making matters worse. Your kind is actually more detrimental to this entire system. You've 8,000 years, you can't pray about it, you can't divest from it. 8,000 years later, you can't whore about it. 8,000 years later, you can't be a bedbuck about it. 8,000 years later, you got to face this. And that is the reason why I do these videos, and that is the reason why the men and the women like my kind, we stick to it, because we're right. And we know you baby boomers, we know you Generation X's, we know you sororities, we know you politicians, we know all of you have decided to throw your cards in with WSR. And in order for you to throw your cards in with WSR, somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb. And in the last 80 years, 70 years, 65 years, you have been sacrificing the H-Rat Browns. You have been sacrificing the Eldridge Cleavers. You have been sacrificing the who else? The Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's, the Khalid Muhammad's. You have been sacrificing the Dr. John Henrik Clark's, the Amos Wilsons. You have been sacrificing the Dr. Female Shahrazad Ali. You have been sacrificing Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. You have been sacrificing us in order for your kind to play while we're taking the hit. No more. The reason why these systems occur is because secretly black women have brought into the system of WSR. And they know the price, they know the toll, but they are not going to do anything about it because of force. We do not have the things that we need in order to force our hand. She calls the police, we're handcuffed, and some of us go to jail for such a long time to the point where she's actually moved on and had 3 other relationships. She is not going to give up that system to be with you. Doesn't matter if you're right. His system allows her to be a whore. His system allows her to use hypergamy, which is to use her body. Use her body to get a better deal. His system is just more beneficial for her, the individual. It's not beneficial for us, the nation. We are going through these things because, again, you race of cowards are not doing the work. And it's about that time that you all do that work. There is no more discussions. You're either going to do this work, you're either going to talk that talk, you're either going to walk that walk, you're either going to bring your children close to you and tell them to sit down, put that Bible down for a while and start to read. Stop listening to coons. Stop listening to cowards and get militarized and start to read. Stop listening to coons. Stop listening to cowards and get militarized and start to read. Stop listening to coons. Stop listening to cowards and get militarized. Get politicized and get militarized. And if you can do that, get politicized and get militarized, you have a better chance of providing your children with the proper tools to fight this system. My kind, we have victories, and my kind have been shown to be right too many times for you all not to follow. If you all were so in tune in them goddamn spirits, whether it's in the Christian church, whether it's into the voodoo, how come y'all haven't done anything to win a goddamn lottery? You all are so in tune with things that are minute. I'm not gonna say it's not important. I'm gonna say it's minute. How come y'all haven't fixed your own personal situations with the things you believe, with the crystals, with the rocks, with the carper, with the mobiles hanging outside of your windows? You guys got all kind of chimes. That's a wind chime, that's a this chime. How come you guys have not fixed your own situation with the things that you all believe. There's a time and place for all systems. There is a time and place where physically alone is not going to work. I'm not an idiot. But it's more times to be physical than it is to be spiritual. Coward class, you need to sit up and pull up a chair and learn something from the warrior class. We can do this. Warrior class, Zoo, rise up. Warrior class, Zoo, speak up. Warrior class, Zoo, show up. Warrior class, Zoo, smoke them out. Peace and Black Power.
Fair Use Act disclaimer. This site is for educational purposes only. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research.